Would you fight Jake Paul?
Nah. Jake doing
He too big. He too big.
Yeah, Jake big, but he doing his thing, man. I'm gonna let Jake do what
You
Jake.
got $200 million for you.
I'm fighting Jake Paul. I'm fighting Jake Paul. Come on, Jake.
Breaking news, my people. So it looks like we have an update in some of the possible opponents that Jake Paul can be facing in December. All right. If you haven't heard the breaking news yet, Gervonta Davis civil suit. It doesn't look like the fight's going to happen 2 weeks from now, November 15th. It does not look like it's going to happen. Since then, Jake Paul Netflix representatives have reached out to a couple different fighters to try to set up another huge fight and replace Gervonta Davis. We first heard the name Ryan Garcia, right? But yesterday, Oscar De La Hoya just came out and shut that down. He said there's no way that this fight can happen. Ryan Garcia, those works for DAZN. Golden Boy Promotions works for DAZN. Jake Paul works for Netflix. That's why this fight's not going to happen. Even though we have seen MVP do contract negotiations with DAZN, it is what it is. Oscar De La Hoya says, no, go. All right? Then, I wake up today in the morning and see the other possible opponents that could be facing Jake Paul. Francis Ngannou, Terence Crawford, or Nate Diaz. Now, I want to talk about these fights and give you my opinion on why I don't think that none of these fights are going to happen. All right? I'm going to start off with Terence Crawford, your super middleweight undisputed world champion.
Would you fight Jake Paul?
Nah. Jake doing
He
his
too
thing.
big. He too big.
Yeah, Jake big, but he doing his thing, man. I'm gonna let Jake do what
You
Jake.
got $200 million for you.
I'm fighting Jake Paul. I'm fighting Jake Paul. Come on, Jake.
If you guys didn't see, Shannon Sharp has already asked Terence Crawford if he would fight Jake Paul. Yes. They had an interview together and he asks him, would you fight against Jake Paul? And Terence Crawford tells him no. But then Shannon Sharp says, what if he offered you a $200 million bag? And Terence Crawford says, I'm fighting Jake Paul. All right? Obviously, you're not going to be able to get $200 million. But if Jake Paul offered probably the highest payday that Terence Crawford has ever received, which in my opinion, I don't even think that's possible, then maybe Terence Crawford would consider stepping to the ring with Jake Paul. But we've heard Bud Crawford say, you need to offer me a whole lot of money. So in order for this fight to happen, if we do want to see this happen, Jake, you need to offer the biggest lump sum, the biggest payday that Terence Crawford has never even seen. Then it'll be possible. But in my opinion, I don't think that the Terence Crawford is going to step in there against Jake Paul, especially after becoming the super middleweight champion of the world, especially saying he's going to be watching Janabek with all the different options that he has now. Even though he can make some money fighting Jake Paul, I don't know if that's going to happen, all right? Now, Nate Diaz, this is a guy who's competed in two UFC, 2 boxing fights since 2021, 1 time a year, all right? He's coming off back-to-back boxing fights with Jake Paul, and he just beat George Masvidal. Yes, another legend in the UFC. Nate Diaz is an absolute legend when it comes to MMA, UFC all over the world. Now, they have fought before back in 2023 where Jake Paul beat Nate Diaz by decision. Right after the fight, they wanted to set up an automatic rematch, but Nate Diaz wanted it to be in a boxing ring. Jake Paul said, I'll fight you, but I want it to be under the PFL banner, and we'll offer you $10 million to fight you. But Nate Diaz turned it down and said that the only way he's going to fight Jake Paul is going to be back inside of a boxing ring. Jake Paul didn't like that, and on goes with future plans. Now, if you rewind, this is very, very possible to make. They've already made the fight before. Jake Paul can fight Nate Diaz. But then lies the question, is that fight big enough for Netflix? The main event for a Netflix fight, a rematch between Jake Paul and Nate Diaz. We already seen what happened in the last fight. And since then, Jake Paul has gotten so much better. I do not personally really care to see that fight. I don't know if it does the same exact numbers as the Gervonta Davis fight. I mean, a lot of people know who Nate Diaz is, but to be honest with you, I really don't think that's the fight to make. for this one-of-a-kind event, all right? I don't really want to see Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz in a boxing ring. I would rather see it in the MMA ring. But that's one of the people that they are trying to talk to. They're definitely going to have to up the game of the whole card if they're going to throw Nate Diaz in there as a replacement. But Francis Ngannou is a name that's being flew out there now. If you guys know, he's an ex-UFC heavyweight champion of the world. He never lost his bout, but lost his contract, right? And ended up going to boxing. Fought against Tyson Fury, had an absolutely amazing performance. Going to decision. Some people thought you could have gave it to Francis. The following year, he comes back and fights Anthony Joshua, and oh man, devastating loss to take right there, all right? Now, he's came back, he's fought Renan Ferrer under the PFL banner, got an absolute beautiful knockout win, but has been dealing with a lot of things outside of the cage, if you guys didn't know. Francis Ngannou was just involved in a murder. He was driving his motorcycle. A woman happened to be walking across the street. He didn't see her. He hit her, and she died. Francis Ngannou, and not just that, but Francis Ngannou's son, RIP. His son has passed away, too, in the last 2 years, okay? It's been a hard life for him so far. But if Jake Paul offered Francis Ngannou $20 million to fight in a boxing ring, why would Francis not take that? The whole reason that he left the UFC was to join boxing and try to get paid big money. All right? Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou would be ridiculous. It'll be another... I mean, Francis Ngannou is not part of the UFC, but this will be an ex-UFC heavyweight champion who never lost a bout against Jake Paul, a YouTuber / boxer now, okay? It would be a big fight. But I have seen interviews of Francis Ngannou saying that he would never fight against Jake Paul.
Is it that crazy to think he just fought at heavyweight? Is there any scenario where there could be a Francis Ngannou heavyweight boxing match?
No. Come on, don't be silly, Steve. Come on, like, respect me a little bit, Steve.
He says that this fight is a silly thought. The only way I'll fight Jake Paul is if you throw Logan Paul in there with him. 2-on-1 is what I'll do. Okay? He's been interviewed and asked about this, but he turned it down. And honestly, he even told the interviewer to respect me. Why are you even mentioning my name and a possible fight with Jake Paul? Put some respect on my name. When you fast forward to that interview, you say to yourself, nah, Francis is not going to fight Jake Paul. There's too much respect as a huge guy like for him to step into the ring with Jake Paul, right? But come on, Francis. You're going to make $20 million right here. You're so confident that you're going to beat this guy. This man went in there against Mike Tyson, a beloved legendary fighter. And even though it wasn't bad, I mean, it was a bad fight, but Jake Paul didn't go in there and knock him out, it was still sad to see. With Francis Ngannou and everything that's going down in his career and everything, this would be the perfect opportunity, dude, to get back up top, to show the world who you are, and possibly knock out Jake Paul and finish him off, okay? I don't know personally why Francis Ngannou wouldn't take that fight, especially with everything that's going down in his career and the way his career has been going. Who else is he going to fight in the PFL? Who is Francis Ngannou going to fight in the PFL that's a bigger name than Jake Paul? None. It's impossible. All right? So when I look at these list of opponents who Jake Paul could possibly be fighting, if you send a bag to Nate Diaz to fight in the boxing ring, he'll probably take it. But it's on Netflix. Who knows if they'll even accept that? If you send a bag to Terence Crawford, it's got to be a big one. I doubt that he takes it. If you send a bag to Ryan Garcia, we already seen Oscar De La Hoya deny that. But if you send it back to Francis Ngannou, the fight might actually happen, bro. It might actually happen. Now, there's one name that I see that haven't been tossing up around there, Anthony Joshua. Whatever happened to Anthony Joshua and the talks of him fighting against Jake Paul? Turkey was all over that. They asked Turkey, is this a serious fight? And what did he say? What did he say? Why not? It's a win-win situation.
Are you really talking about a fight between him and Anthony Joshua?
Why not? It is win-win deal.
I mean, we just seen Anthony Joshua released. We released a little short of him about a month ago that he has started training camp already for whatever fight that he's going to be going in against. Supposedly, Arslan Bekmambutov versus Dave Allen is going to be getting the next fight against Anthony Joshua, but who knows? What if Jake Paul offered a ridiculous bag to Anthony Joshua? Whatever happened to that? Okay? I understand Anthony Joshua fights for the zone, so maybe it's the same exact thing that Oscar De La Hoya is talking about. But MVP and the zone have worked together. They really need to figure out what they're going to do with this, because the list is running out, man. These 4 possible opponents by tomorrow, by the next day, might not be there. And now they're going to be scrambling to look for another fighter to fight against, man. This is absolutely breaking news. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. My name is Alex Ramos, and breaking news.